second half of the Wealth Guardian Show, guarding your retirement from market losses with safe money strategies. Folks, in the first half, we were talking about REITs, that's real estate investment trusts, and Paul Taylor was going over a very interesting situation which he discovered with some new clients of his. So if you've got a question about REITs or anything for that matter, and you want to call us today, it's 800-642-0060. One of the things that if you own a REIT right now, we want you to understand, if you're getting more than a 6% yield or interest off of that, most likely you're getting a return of principal. And that isn't necessarily a good thing, is it, Paul?
No, it's not. And you know what? I had 3 clients that I put into one of these 3 years ago, and I'm just going to be honest with everybody. I made the mistake as before Blue Vault came out, and that's why I'm having this discussion on the radio this morning, because, folks, you really need to watch out. I didn't realize it was going on. We had, even when I read the prospectus, I didn't know what was going on. And until the government forced an appraisal to be done, which they just started doing on non-marketable REITs, if you close a REIT, which means no new investors can go into it, within 18 months, you have to have an appraisal. And, of course, when that appraisal came in, 2 things happened. One, it then shows that, hey, it's worth 15% less due to that upfront charge I was telling you that I didn't realize was in there. And and then the other thing was the payout of the principal. But then also commercial real estate was down almost 20% when this appraisal was done. You know, it was done about 14 months ago on my particular clients. So I just want to share with everybody this so that they don't make the same mistake. I'm speaking from experience on this.
All right, let's recap this thing. You had some new folks come into you. They had about $1.2 million in investable assets, and about $500,000 of it was in this REIT that they thought was earning 8% for them, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You did all this homework. You found out it wasn't really an 8% return. It was more like 3 or 4, and they were getting a return of principal. So what did you actually do for these folks to help them get them out of a bad situation into a better situation?
Well, fortunately, on this particular one, and Doug and Brian, each REIT is different. On this particular one, we were able to get all their principal out because nobody else realized this is going on. And there is a secondary market for it after 3 years. But per their prospectus, they were able to get out of it. So we took them out of that, and obviously we had to replace their income, Doug, and we did some great planning on that. And we not only replaced their income, we reduced their overall risk. Probably not probably, but around 80% in their portfolio. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we did with it. For one, you've heard us talk about our tactical trading program. We're able to create some income from that, obviously, from returns if it does have a positive return, which we've had positive returns in the past. And then one of the things, believe it or not, I recommended was that they take about 200 of their 1.2 million and buy a REIT. I know that shocks you, but this is I pulled it up through Blue Vault, and I said, here's a real estate investment trust. This one's paying you 6.5%, and it's a true 6.5%, and it's not paying back your principal. So let's go into this, and let's replace some income from that. And then we went also into some various indexed annuities to protect their principal and just to replace some income. So ended up being a really good plan. They were very impressed with it, and it just worked out well for them. Once again, they had no idea, folks. They just had no idea this was going on, and that's why I really wanted to spend the time this morning talking about it.
And these folks are retired, right?
Yes, they are, and that was the big thing is they were retired, and this was income that they. Let's look what would happen in 18 months, Doug. It just closed, by the way, this particular REIT. So in the next 18 months, there's going to be an evaluation and an appraisal of that. And what I did is we avoided them probably losing 50% of that REIT.
Wow.
I mean, that's about what the one REIT that I had 3 of my clients in, unfortunately, when we got our appraisal back, it went from $10 of par value to $4.40 per share, from $10 a share to $4.40 a share.
So you're telling me these folks, if they'd stayed in that REIT, they would basically go from a $500,000 REIT down to $250,000, $300,000?
Quite possibly. I mean, I know it would be I know it would be at least $75,000 less just due to the principal being paid back.
Yeah.
And then you take the 15% upfront loads that were in there. And then you take, depending on if they bought that commercial property at a higher or not, you take the downturn that's happened in the commercial property. They could easily be down that far.
Well, you're their knight in shining armor.
I think I am. They love me. Good morning, McLeods.
My goodness.
Exactly. Wow.
Hey, while I was talking, one thing we didn't do is I wanted to offer another book since we got Patrick Kelly coming next week.
Okay.
So what do you think? Brian, what caller you want to do today?
What?
To give a book away. You with us?
Well, caller number 3. No, I was reading my inside bet here you sent me.
Caller number 3?
Yeah, caller number 3.
Caller number 3 to 800-642-0060 will win Patrick Kelly's book, How to Retire with Tax-Free Income. Third caller. All right.
Hey.
I really like the plan you worked up for these folks because you got you took them out of a lot of risk. You got some safety and guarantee in there with the indexed annuities. You got them in the market, but it's managed. It's not riding this wave up and down like most advisors do. And,
real management.
Yeah, and I think you did just a solid job for them.
Yeah, it's worked out real well. I mean, one thing, we've got one indexed annuity that guarantees a 10%. You can take out 10% per year. And so by doing that can replace income and then go in one of the income annuities that everybody's heard us talk about, let that grow, then it's replacing that one annuity because we know we're going to be drawn down. It's not going to earn 10%. At least we don't think it will. But
yeah.
So we're taking that 10% out. And so we literally were able to replace their income. And here's the thing. The entire plan I have in front of me here, their entire income was completely replaced even if the market never returns a positive return again. Let me replace.
That's cool.
Let's go through that again.
Yeah.
We replaced their entire income with no guesswork. The worst, even if the market never gained, in the index annuities we have them in, never gained a dime, we've got their income replaced.
No matter how long they live. That's the thing that people got to understand. Their accounts could run out of money, but they will never run out of income. Not that it will, but just saying, if technically it could literally go to zero, the value of their accounts, but they still get that income, Paul. And that's so huge.
Yeah, and one thing I want to make really strongly urge people to understand, when we're talking about the income annuities on this show, we are not talking about you annuitizing your annuity, which means you're giving all the money over to the insurance company and they're paying you an income stream for the rest of your life. That is not what we're talking about. I don't think I've ever done that with a client. Maybe one time since I've been around that with a client actually annuitized their annuity.
It's a special case when that happens.
Yeah, it's just relative. Some people use when I do lifetime payouts ever, it's usually to fund a life insurance policy because that money was meant to go to a kid. So let's say I took $50,000 and it gives them $700 a month the rest of their life. I use that $700 to pay for a life insurance policy. Instead of giving their kids $50,000 taxable, they're now giving them $150, maybe $200,000 tax free. Yeah. So in that case, we do use annuitization at times, but still. With that in mind, we don't even really need to do that with these income annuities, Doug's, anymore.
No.
But
there's no reason to.
Right. We ladder these income. You take income. It's all in the strategy. We do not sell product. We sell strategy. We take the tool as secondary. We got to figure out what job that we have first. Who are we working with? And everybody's an individual. And so we take it and we use these things from a strategic level. A lot of people sell product. A lot of agents sell product. We know that. And it's all in the Navigator, and that's where we're experts at navigating these indexed annuities when we're using them for income, when we're even using them for growth and safety.
And one thing I want to point out, Doug, you and I were talking in the break room right before we got on air. There are some bad indexed annuities out there.
Yeah, they are.
A lot of them.
There are some bad banks out there. I mean, I sit on the board with a bank, and the FDIC just took over a bank in Asheville just this last week. And my bank was brought in, that I sit on the board, was brought in to take over that bank. So, if you've read any negative news or you've heard somebody say, oh, gosh, please stay away from that. I want you to understand there is some bad annuities out there. There are some bad bonds out there. There are bad stocks out there. There's bad banks out there, folks. You need to have an advisor. You really do.
You just can't homogenize indexed annuities. There's 2,000 of them out there.
That is correct.
And there's probably 300-400 good ones. Now that 300 or 400 good ones, there's 3 or 4 or 5 great ones, and that's kind of where we deal in. We have gone through and done the process. We've done the process of elimination. Well, we're to our final break. We'll be back in a bit. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show.